Hello and welcome to the session 0 for our Tales of the Valiant 4-part mini-series extravaganza. Before we introduce you to our incredible special guests, we want to take a quick second and talk about the system, Tales of the Valiant, and how we came about doing the mini-series here, because I think that's really cool. It is something that Kobold Press has put effort into, and I think it should be highlighted because it's great for us and for other creators. And I want to shine a spotlight on things that are really important to the community
and really rad.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people doing a lot of cool stuff, and if we ignore it, then they don't do it again, and I want them to keep doing it. So we got this incredible opportunity through Kobold Press. You may know them as the largest third-party publisher, and they've
been doing it for like 17 years, too.
So long. And they're a great company. We've had the pleasure of meeting a couple of the staff in person, and they're just as lovely on paper as they are in the real world. So Kobold Creates is a program that they set up to bolster the creative community and give the community an opportunity to make stuff with their content. So they are releasing a new game called Tales of the Valiant. It is a D20 system. It might seem familiar, and it's really easy to pick up. It's a really handy game. If you've ever played a D20 system, you could probably pick up Tales of the Valiant within like...
Oh, for sure. Yeah, if you've played
15 minutes?
Pathfinder, D&D, there's going to be so much you recognize, but then so much different. So it's the best convergence of those two things, where you're not going to be worrying about learning the game. You're going to be just so excited about all the new cool things you can do.
Yeah, it's really refined and flavor focused, which I really like. Instead of just, numbers and stuff, they really take that extra step to make it full of flavor and really let you vision some of the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
They reached out to a bunch of creators. We pitched our idea, and if you're interested in Tales of the Valiant, our miniseries, within 4 episodes, you're going to know how to play this game. That is kind of what we are looking to do. We're looking to be sort of a crash course in Tales of the Valiant. So if you're looking to pick up a new system, particularly one that has its roots sort of in community creation, the way that Kobold Press does, Tales of the Valiant will be an excellent option for you. You're going to find a lot of, as Ryan said, a lot of flavor-focused stuff, a lot of like push towards creating collaborative storytelling and not just crunchy rules and mechanics. There's still a little bit of that for those who like the granola crunch, but there's enough there for first-time players or players who prefer to sort of like let mechanics take a back seat and let the story take center stage. Tales of the Valiant is an excellent system for that. And like we said, by the end of our 3 actual play episodes, you'll know how to play this game with a degree of confidence that I think would be difficult to do with any other system.
You'll also have a chance to play it yourself because we got a little giveaway going on.
It's true. Towards the end of our mini-series, so pay attention. A good way to stay in the loop is getting on the Discord. We'll be giving away a special edition Tales of the Valiant slipcase. We saw it at Gen Con.
It's so beautiful.
And it looks sick. It looks really, really nice.
Me and Dane had to have a very serious conversation about just taking it for ourselves and not giving it to any of you wonderful listeners. And Ryan reined us in.
That's what I'm here for.
Ryan's the voice of reason.
Yeah. So now we're giving it to him instead. Suckers! No.
Anytime we get our hands on like a new game, there's like the Schmeagol and Golem conversation between giving it up and...
But we wants it.
Exactly. It's a crazy, beautiful book, and we're really excited to give it away so that you guys can start playing Tales of the Valiant on your own. It'll be a great gift. Even if you don't play yourself, it's a great gift. So if you have a GM in your life looking to pick something up, there you go. It's a Christmas gift just in your back pocket, ready to go. Some other things we want to talk about, some of the mechanics that might not be familiar when we're playing this. One of the big ones is luck. We've done luck rolls before in our first season, but it's always been just sort of like you guys want to do something and I want to see whether or not I'll allow it. And I'm leaving that up to chance. And I'll call for a luck roll, and that's just you roll a d20, and then I set the odds. And if you get above or below a certain number, we let it happen. Luck in Tales of the Valiant is an actual mechanic, and I think it's really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's like a twist on like hero points, if you're familiar with those, where depending on how many you have banked, you can get various different like bonuses. And one of the things I love about them is you get luck points for missing in combat, which means even if you miss, there's like a little something to take the sting out of it, you know? Because it sucks to miss. But now you're getting the luck point.
Yeah, I really enjoy games that reward failure, you know? Like, even when you're missing, you're still working towards something. And in this case, it's building that luck up for that big moment in the game when you just need that extra edge, those extra couple digits on the dice. So it's really, really neat. Goes a long way and makes combat a little bit more dynamic.
How it works is basically you can have up to 5 luck points, and up to... At any point, if let's say you roll a 12 and you have a pretty good idea 14 is the AC. If you have 2 luck points, you can add them 1 for 1 to bump that up to a 14, spending your luck points. I believe if you get 3 or over, you can spend them to re-roll. You can spend 3 points to re-roll a D20. My favorite is you don't get to spend it on a nat 1.
Yeah.
So
in Niall's case, that can't even help him.
Yeah. Speaking of rewarding failure, it means people will still fail in those spectacular ways that I think as players, but definitely as podcasters, success can be as good as failure and vice versa in terms of storytelling. You know what I mean? If we only succeeded, that wouldn't be fun. So I think it's just one of those, like, they've been around the block enough that they know the value of nat ones, and I genuinely really appreciate that.
And it's not just missing. The GM also has the ability to, if your players come up with a crazy idea that works or they are able to pull off, you can award them luck points based on that. You can also reward for really good role play or making great choices. If you want to be that table, you can reward for sort of like out of game stuff too, if you really want to, like
get those bribes in,
bring in snacks, helping clean up, being on time,
being
writing
on time.
Well, I'm never getting that one.
Yeah, writing like a 1-page backstory, something, little incentives to get your players to sort of engage a little bit more with the group. The other really cool thing I like about luck is that it incentivizes you to use your luck and not just pool and bank it all together and be like, well, I'm just gonna sit on it and be afraid. It's like the potions that we all have in every RPG game where at the end of the game we haven't used a single one of them because we're worried that we might need them at some point.
I haven't used a single rune arc in Elden Ring, and it's just bad.
Exactly. My Baldur's Gate character, so many potions, just packed full of potions and scrolls. Because what if I need them? So the way that luck works is you can have 5 max. If you go over 5, if you're sitting at the 5 total and you miss an attack, you have to roll a d4 and then your luck points reset to that amount. So if you roll a 1, then your luck points all the way back down to 1. You've lost 4 because you didn't use it.
Mm-hmm. I think it helps keep things balanced as well, because like if you get that 3, it's kind of that cost benefit where it's like, oh, do I immediately burn it so that I have space to grow, or do I try to save it for a particular moment? But if I save it for too long, so it helps it from being OP, kind of keeps you on your toes, rewards failure, or at least takes the sting out of it, while still allowing big failures to happen. And I think it's just a great, well thought out system, much like Tales of Valiant itself.
Now, Ryan, you're going to be playing a spellcaster.
I am.
Do you want to talk about the new kind of spells?
Yeah, so the coolest thing I think that Tales of the Valiant does with spellcasting, it gets rid of the terminology of slots, which I just think is doesn't feel like a magic thing. It's never felt good to me. No wizard's like, hey guys, I have 9 slots. It's, I don't know, weird. So what they do instead is that they do circles. So every spellcaster, the level of spell that you're in means that's the circle of caster that you are. So that's something that's really neat with the terminology, feels more on brand for me instead of talking about slots and levels all the time. And the cool thing, another addition they're making, is that they're adding a 4th type of magic. So we're all very familiar with arcane, divine, and sort of nature as the 3 big types of spellcasters in the game. But what Tales of the Valiant is adding, which I'm really excited about, is weird casting. So I don't mean W-E-I-R-D, I mean W-Y-R-D. So what they're doing is they're taking Warlock, which I feel like has always been so close to Sorcerer and sort of idea, and they're separating them and sort of giving them their own school of magic to sort of play with. So the types of spells that they do are very different, whereas Sorcerer and Wizard are a little bit more focused on, elemental spells and doing damage and teleportation and that kind of thing. Warlocks are more focused on sort of controlling the battlefield, of course, Eldritch Blast, but also that weird, gross, creepy kind of magic that people love. Please give me a witch eventually, Tales of the Valiant, because right now we only have one weird spellcaster, but I'm really excited about it. And rituals. Rituals are really cool too, which is another thing we can talk about.
Yeah, rituals are sort of like
Big spells.
They make utility spells feel a little bit more important, because it kind of sucks when you're playing a spellcaster and you're casting something like Alarm, which is a fairly useful spell, but you're just like, yeah, it takes a minute to cast, or you just like, it's kind of a throwaway. But like changing, as Ryan said, like the terminology already like lets you embody the setting a little better, right? As Ryan said, it's like, spell levels and slots and all that stuff seems so mechanical and so gamey. Whereas now you can actually talk about your spell casting with the in-game terminology while you roleplay, and you don't feel weird, right? Like, as Ryan said, it's like no wizard's flipping through a spell book and being like, where are my level 9s? But it's nice to say, like, oh, I've got, I have access to my 9th level, or, my 9th circle of spells. Like, that sounds fucking cool. Yeah. And I think I think they've done a really good job and they've done that with the rituals as well. So a lot of the spells that have casting times of over a minute or longer are divided into sort of a ritual. And that gives you an opportunity to flavor it through both mechanics and roleplay to be a bigger deal.
Yep.
And I think that's a really neat way that they've blended mechanics and flavor. And that's what we're talking about when we say that, like, it's a really flavor-focused thing with the mechanics to support it. They've done a really, really great job with the magic system and making magic feel like when you cast it, the spell itself kind of takes center stage, and that's really cool.
And we can get weird, and that's all I care about.
Hey, and we like to get weird.
I think we're going to bring in our guests, and you can meet the absolutely kick-ass cast that we've put together for this miniseries. Hello friends, quick break here before we get into the rest of Session 0 and introducing our incredible guests for this mini-series. We just wanted to take a quick second to thank Kobold Press for putting together the Kobold Creates program and allowing us this incredible opportunity. A brief programming note, we will be continuing to go weekly until the end of September, and then we will be going back to our usual bi-weekly schedule. We're not going to be jumping straight into Campaign 2 right away. We're going to do another mini campaign where Niall is going to take the reins and he will be the GM for that adventure, and I will get to be a player, which we're really excited about. We'd also like to thank our sponsor for this week's episode, Eldritch Foundry, your one-stop shop for any of your tabletop miniature needs. If you're unfamiliar with Eldritch Foundry, they are an incredibly powerful custom miniature service where you can design the mini of your dreams all within your browser on their website. I was playing around with it for like 5 minutes, or at least that's what I told myself, and then I was lost in it for like a good hour just building random characters that I had played before or characters that I want to play in the future. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a character that you couldn't create within the Eldritch Foundry program. I was playing around and they have so many different just body types and races and classes that you can play around with. You want to be a half ogre? That's an option. You want to be a construct or an undead or a kobold? All those things are there for you. So you're not just limited to the humanoid, typical body shape. There's a lot of different options, and new ones are being added constantly. And speaking of new features, they are in the process of beginning to launch a Kickstarter for full color printing, which means if you want to print out your custom character, it won't sit sad and gray while you neglect to paint it for the entire campaign that you're playing in. Instead, you can paint within the program itself in your browser and get it printed to you, shipped, and it will be in full color, ready to be thrown on your table to go through adventure and dungeons and combat and roleplay and romance, all in full color glory. These little guys are going to be tabletop ready with a higher quality than pre-painted minis. These things are going to look exactly the way you want them to. Additionally, if you're one of the many people who don't play in person anymore due to distance or whatever reason, there's going to be full virtual tabletop integration with the color engine, allowing you to use your 3D mini fully colored fully ready and looking the way you want it to in virtual tabletops that support 3D graphics like Tailspire and more to be announced throughout the Kickstarter. Eldritch Foundry is all about creating the character of your dreams and bringing it to life, which is why they have a full color customization suite. Within the engine itself, in your browser, you're going to be able to digitally paint your miniatures with complete freedom, including freehand painting and using traditional painting techniques such as highlights, recessed shading, and more, with a whole suite of other options included in their stretch goals. Kickstarter will be launching sometime next month, so be sure to click the link in our episode description and bookmark it because you're not going to want to miss out on this one. That's going to do it for us this week. We're really excited about this Tales of Valiant cast, and we can't wait for you to meet them. So, without further ado, let's get you introduced. Joining me, I have Niall and Ryan from our regular cast, but more importantly and more excitingly, I have three very exciting and incredible guests that we're going to introduce really quickly. Dillin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, yes, I can do that. My name is Dillin, or Super Dillin. You can mirror your own pronouns for me, or she and he are both totally fine. And I am the host of the One Shot podcast, where we play a new RPG every single month with a new cast of characters. I am a principal cast member on the Atomless, which is a Starfinder podcast. And then you can see me floating around, making games and playing them.
Hell yeah. Cai, please let us know who you are and what you're all about.
Oh my gosh. Hi, everybody. I'm Cai. I use he, they, and she pronouns. You can find me all over the internet as Estella Van Ladris, but most of the time when people find me on the internet, it's because I am a core cast member on the Chaos Protocol on Transplanter RPG, which is an all-transgender, people of color-led dark fantasy actual play series set in a non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. Haha. But also you can find me just haunting the tabletop space lately. You can find me at Happy Jacks RPG. I've done work with Queen's Court Games and so excited to be working with y'all for this little adventure.
Hell yeah. And finally, last but not least, Q.
Hey everybody, my name is Omega Jones, also known as Crown or Q on the social medias. I'm a professional actor and vocalist from the Midwest, turned tabletop designer, host, moderator, jack of all trades, master of like three of them. I do way too much in this space and I'm never going to stop, and that's just going to be your problem. Sorry, not sorry. You might recognize my voice from Critical Role. I've worked with Worlds of Darkness, Wizards of the Coast. Again, too many things to name, but I'm honored to be here, a part of this really fun series.
And we are thrilled to have all of y'all. I'm really excited to do this. When we pitched this to Kobold, y'all were our first choices. We were like, let's swing for the fences. Let's set up a dream cast of people that we've always wanted to work with, and we've seen whether we've worked with you in the past or with like the Atomless. We got to work with the Atomless at PAX. Dillin, you were not on stage with us, and when we met you, we were like,
so sad.
Well, now we got to work with you. And we've been following Omega and Cai for a while now. So we are super, super honored and thrilled to have you guys on our show. And we're really, really excited. So with introductions of who we are as people aside, let's introduce ourselves as characters. Again, I'm just going to go with the order that I see people here. Maybe I'll bounce around. Who knows? But Niall, kick us off. Who is your character? Tell us a little bit about them.
Sure. So Marcus Biscuit is a kobold. He is small. He is lavender. His class is mechanist. And do you want to give you a little backstory?
Yeah.
What do you want?
That's what I want.
Yeah. So he is the son to a famous hero. So Red Nail Scaleborn, a overscale kobold, all around badass, and Greg Biscuit, a house husband, gnome, basically lives in a cottage community as a blacksmith, and now that he's reached adolescence, his goal is to go and become a hero like his mom, who is kind of absentee at the moment. His dad doesn't really want him to go because he's scared and is a little bit of a helicopter parent, and maybe is playing a little bit too involved of a role in his life. So that's Marcus.
Hell yeah. Let's talk about Mechanist, because I think the classes they're familiar, but there's enough in them that's kind of like a juicy new sort of like vibe to it. Mm-hmm. What does Mechanist look like? What is it all about?
So really fun stuff. So I think my favorite thing about them is the augments. So I can effectively like add like magical enchantments to items, weapons, armor, which makes me a fun party member because I can help everybody else's weapons, armor, etc. I can also do them on myself. Later levels, which luckily we are, I do them kind of on the fly a certain number of times a day. And I chose the metallurgist, like subclass. So I basically get a magical suit of armor that I can teleport onto myself at will, which is super fun and is kind of like I'm flavoring as my dad's overbearing protection. So whenever there's any kind of moment that he might deem strifeful, my armor's just going to poof onto me.
Hell yeah.
Which I think is really fun. You also have a shard of creation, so it's kind of just like this malleable item that I can turn into various tools and things, which I think is really fun. So if I need to create a shield or armor or a tool, I can do that at will as well, which is very fun.
Hell yeah. I'm going to pop on over to Dillin.
Hello. Okay, so I was hoping to play a barbarian because I realized that I haven't done that kind of like fighter type in, I don't know, maybe ever. So I was really looking forward to doing that, but I do want to play a small little guy as well. So I was thinking maybe goblin, if that's not too much overlap, goblin barbarian. And
I don't want to worry about overlap. I want y'all to play whatever and whoever you want. If this ends up being a party of small guys, just little guys, I am cool with it.
Excellent. So I would like her name to be V, which is like VI in spelling, but just fundamentally V. And yeah, I think that this is someone out with a score to settle and a point to prove. I maybe don't know what that point is yet. I'm thinking like maybe was like a competitive type of fighter back home and lost and was sort of like told to give up and is now out like just really try with like a chip on her shoulder trying to prove a point that she can be the biggest, toughest guy you ever met.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great.
Thank you.
What about the barbarian brought you? Was there a certain ability or what are you feeling flavor wise that V's bringing to the table?
I think it's that she's going to be so full of like the ability to kill people, like to be like an actual killer is, I think, something that she doesn't actually believe she has, because everything's been in this like sanitized kind of like fighting. What am I thinking? Like in a competitive fighter way. And now she's like out in the world, like facing actual threats. And I think that like being kind of like surprised by this rage that takes over and unexpectedly lethal is going to be an interesting shock to her.
Okay, I love that. I think we're going to pop over to you, Ryan.
Cool. So my character is Zavo the Brave.
Hell yeah.
Also recruited as a little guy. So I'm also playing a kobold.
Delightful.
Because we're doing a game for Kobold Press. How could I not at this point?
Oh, sure.
No, we're not planning
We're
this.
going to be all so short.
We did not talk about it. So tiny. So Zavo doesn't know that he's a warlock. So Zavo is a little acolyte of a church. Grew up as sort of, adopted, raised there, worked very hard, always dreamed about being a paladin, but never really got his way. And then one day he heard a voice saying, here, we'll give you this great power. You just have to listen to my words and you can have whatever you need. So he signs on with a Reaper, which is a cool option for warlocks in this game.
Nice.
So he's always thinks he's doing something just and honorable and listens to that little voice in the back of his head. He's a pact. My whole thing is like a Pact of the Blade. So he has a magic sword, which he thinks is a holy sword, which he can summon and use, but he has no idea of who he's working for.
So you're going to be role playing a paladin.
Oh no!
But
I love this.
Yeah, Dane and Niall know I love paladins, and I try to play them in any way I can. And this way, I said I'm not going to play a paladin mechanically, but I still get to live my power fantasy of being a paladin. But
hell yeah,
I use dark magics.
I love that.
That's cool.
Omega, we're gonna pop on over to you.
Okay, of course. I believe I will be playing Roven, who, in contrast to, it seems, at least three, maybe two or three people in this party, is a tall orc. I am big boy for us. I am a ranger. Mechanically, I'm a ranger. Professionally, I am a farmer. I help run a farm. I think I keep the name Periwinkle keeps coming in my head, so I think it's called the Periwinkle Farm. I think they got it from a family known as the Periwinkle family, and they just respected them so much that they kept the name. But he is a lover of all things animal. He loves his cows. He loves his horses. He loves his abyssal chickens. He loves his buddies so much that my charisma is an 8. Don't do humanoids, really.
Oh, dear.
He is himbo, and he just wants to. I don't know. It's so easy to play. I mean, just to go into it, it's so easy to go. Orc means savage. Orc means I'm going to be something aggressive, which we all know is no. But also, like, I wanted to make a very clear understanding that, like, orc can be whatever because they're just a people, and people aren't monoliths in a way. And I just want to play this big himbo boy who just carries a pig on his shoulder, like, hey, friends. Hi. And just vibes. So that's going to be them. As far as Ranger goes, I am still building them out. I don't know if they're going to have a bow and arrow. They probably will, because they are going to be very dex-based. But yeah, their heritage is the wildlands, and they're rustic. So again, they're very homely. They're very much about just protection. Protecting their own as far as their animals go, but also if they're in a group, protecting those who are now part of their farm. I think that's how they call people in a weird way. Like, yeah, you're here. I don't have any hate for you, but you make do. But yeah, I think that's them. I think that's the vibe.
That's great. The nice thing about character creation in Tales of the Valiant is I feel like it does lend itself to moving away from like the stereotypes or like you said, like monoliths of being like, dwarf is your rock miner guy, and elf is you're the haughty asshole, and you know what I mean. Like, it's kind of like it opens the door and just like, if you want to be an orc, here's some stuff that you do, and here's some stuff that you're good at.
Absolutely,
but you're not torn like bound into a thing. And I love that, because that is usually how I build characters, of being like, great, here's what they're supposed to do, and now I'm not going to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
So that sounds like a lot of fun.
And I won't lie, there was a picture that I saw of orc farmers. I think we all might have seen it, released by a certain company. And I was like, done. Yep. I'm playing that somewhere. So when I was asked to do that, I know exactly what I'm doing. So yeah.
Hell yeah. And last but not least, Kai, please introduce your character.
I will be playing Tyree Ida, who is a gnome, a small folk in the language of Tales of the Valiant, who is a shifter druid, a wildlands homesteader for the background stuff. Tyree was raised by wolves. Tyree, basically, he's a wolf. He was adopted by a wolf pack when he was a child. Intelligent wolves, because the wildlands are full of intelligent animals. So it's not like he was raised by wild animals, but he's a small little man who was raised by a pack of wolves, and he got his greatest wish in the entire world when he learned to touch the natural magics of the world and become a wolf. So his favorite thing in the whole world is to wild shape into a wolf.
I love that.
And he is out in the world because he's like, listen, I love my family. It's a big family. I like you all. I would like to meet a humanoid to go and have a life with, maybe. So this is a little bit also of a dating adventure, because Tyree doesn't know people super well. And so he's like, yeah, I'm going to go vibe. I'm going to go do some stuff. Those humanoids, they're doing stuff. So I'm going to go do whatever that is. Oh, you guys don't have wolves over here? Oh, okay. So you're going to have a gnome that's a wolf.
I am really excited about that.
That's so good.
I have an idea that has popped in my head, especially because I believe we're both wildlands, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a stereotype of the wolves attacking the farm because they're hungry.
Oh, yeah. I salute you. Yes. Q, your brain is so big.
What if there was a thing and they tried to attack the farm and like it was never like a shoe? I'm not hurting them, but what if like in the cacophony of it all, you either got hurt a little bit and either you got hurt enough that you couldn't unshift immediately. So I probably like tended to you as a wolf,
and
then let you go back with your family. So I don't know but you might recognize that I saved you at some point.
It's like, oh, you're that nice farmer that was really protective of their sheep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also there's a naturalness to life. So I think they probably did give you all something that they had, just so you didn't go away. Just don't touch the sheep, please.
Yeah.
They're precious.
Right.
Not the sheep.
I love that. I love that so much.
They're just like, oh no, stop.
This is how we get domesticated dogs. No, here
Don't
you
touch
can.
the sheep.
Don't
Here's
touch
the
the
wolf
sheep.
meal.
Just here's this. Here's some food.
I made this new thing called kibble. You might like
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, we're getting real close to doing that with raccoons. So, in like
I love
10,
raccoons.
20
And my
years.
fingers
so much.
remain crossed.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very tightly that we keep succeeding.
I've also almost been mugged by raccoons, so that's maybe not the best thing.
I love raccoons.
Yeah, they're already too powerful.
I love the idea that this is going to be a party of little guys plus Rovin. Just
And we all seem happy. Like everyone sort of, no one has no super tragic backstory so far. We're just sort of looking for.
and that's
joy.
that's great. That ends up playing well into what I want to do, because we're only doing a 3-episode arc. I really didn't want to go too heavy into backstory and like dig in. I want to look forward. I want to see what the future holds for you guys, as opposed to sort of like unraveling what you guys have been through. Because I think that's a way easier thing to do in 3 episodes. And I also think it's a lot of fun. I think we get a chance to sort of like, you guys get to like tell a story that no one really knows what's going to happen. And I think that goes into moving into the setting and talking about what you guys will be doing, where you're playing. So the cool thing about Tales of the Valiant is that every homebrew setting and city and world and planet and whatever is canon through what is called the Labyrinth. So the Labyrinth there's like the pre-established stuff of what Kobold has put out there, and it's very similar to like what other systems have called like planes, but the Labyrinth also includes anything that's ever made by us as GMs and players and people who are enjoying the system. So everything is connected.
Right.
We will be playing in and this is something that we haven't done on the show yet, and I'm really excited to do it. We're going to be playing like high fantasy, traditional fantasy, and in a very sort of like positive world. It's not going to be a grimdark. It's not going to be gritty. It is, when I think aesthetic, I'm thinking like Tangled, sort of like that sort of like look,
Right there with
like
you.
the plaster white walls and like the bright pastel roofs and that kind of stuff. It is very, very sort of like Disney core. And the idea is that you are hired as a group, whether individually, whether you guys know each other. We can play around with that. We can figure that out. But you are hired by a wizard to protect his big surprise for what's called the Dudon Festival. The Dudon Festival is a celebration of the bounty of a coming day. It's just sort of a recognition of like every day is a new beginning. Every day has the possibility to be whatever you can make it. And if it's a bad day prior, there's always another day tomorrow. And that's kind of what this festival is all about. However, being in a fantasy world, this wizard knows that almost every festival is going to be met with some sort of shenanigan. And therefore, he has taken some priorities and some precautions by hiring you guys as sort of like distractions and bodyguard muscle, just to make sure that this festival goes off without a hitch. That is kind of all the information I'm going to give you in terms of, that's really all the information you get.
So you're saying it's going to go great?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing's gonna
I
go
think
right.
so.
Okay, it's a party.
A few hours of work, then we'll celebrate the festival.
Yeah.
Gold in your pocket.
Just 3 episodes of us mildly socializing, awkward water cooler
It would
talk.
have been really funny if someone had come in with a super tragic backstory. And you're like, well, it is the Dudon Festival.
It'll be someone sitting brooding in the corner on a crate while we're like throwing rocks.
Yeah.
Friendly Night Striker. Orphan.
A festival? I never went to festivals.
I never had a festival.
I only know festivals of blood.
So yeah, you guys, that's all I'm telling you. That's all you guys know, both as players and as characters, is Wizard has been like, hey, make sure that when the big moment happens, nothing gets fucked up. But he hasn't told you what the big moment is. He wants it to be a surprise for everyone. Before we get into sort of my hypotheticals that I've teased with you guys off air, we're gonna do the responsible thing and talk about safety tools. We're using 2 main ones. First, lines and veils, which I've sent out to you guys prior. We will be reviewing those before every session. So if you want to add anything or move things up in your list, we will check before every session, and we will respect those. The second and sort of kind of like ripcord that we use is the X card. However, because we're playing remotely, the way we do it is make a big X with your arms so that it doesn't get lost or garbled in if there's a lot of talking, a lot of things going on. We want to make sure that all of us can see it, because sometimes if too many people are talking, audio cuts out or we don't hear it. So at that point in time, all play stops. We will talk about it if we need to have a private conversation between myself and the player. The usual way that X card works is it just kind of like stops and we move on. Because we are an audio podcast where we're telling a story, we rewind back to a part where you're comfortable and we'll start over again for the narrative. And we will make sure that everyone feels safe, everyone feels comfortable, because we have 2 rules. And the only thing that matters is everyone's having fun and everyone feels safe. That's the only thing that matters at our table, and we want to enforce that and make sure everyone feels that way. If we come to an impasse of something that really doesn't feel great and we can't figure out a way out, we'll call it for the day and we'll reconvene at another time and figure it out. That is how we run things. If you have any questions, or if, once again, if for whatever reason that motion is difficult for you, we will also find an alternative, whether it's just a book or something that you can hold up, or we'll find something that will work for y'all. And I think that's our safety tools. If there's any questions, we can have those off air. But I think the nods and gestures seem like everyone seems to understand what's going on. Now, finally, as I mentioned before, about the hypotheticals, I'm going to pose some questions to you guys. And this is meant to be a way for me to vibe check you guys as characters and figure out how you approach things. And it will help me generate some ideas for the campaign. I've written down a few things and I might extrapolate on them based on your answers. And if I mispronounce your character name, because I wrote it down and I might say it incorrectly, feel free to contact or correct me. I'm going to ask Tyree this question. You are faced with a very tall structure. How do you climb it?
So the first question I have.
Yes.
Can I just fly?
Yeah. Yes. You can fly. That is an excellent way to solve this problem.
Tyree's first inclination is always, can I solve this through being a little guy? And so he would cast little guy. And in this case, that would be like becoming a bird and flying up to the top of the building.
All right. Easy answer and very useful. Okay, yeah. I think this one goes great for Rovin. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Omega? Rovin?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent.
Like roving along.
Oh, perfect. That's a great way to remember. How would you calm down a rampaging beast?
That's
easy. Hi, yo.
It's me.
Well, it also one, it depends. So one, it depends on what it is. If it's too big for my arms, which do have a massive wingspan, I will just put my arms around his head and just go, shh, little guy. I know you're not that little, but you're little to me. We're going to practice our techniques that you and I didn't go over with together, but I'm going to teach you right now. I don't know how you breathe, and he'll quickly ascertain what type of beast it is. All right. Now that I know, you do it in and you do it out. Because I can't speak to beast. So they can understand me. And I have a pretty good animal handling. As a matter of fact, I have a +5 5 in animal handling.
Hell yeah.
And I would say that's pretty average, actually. So depending on what it is, like I said, if it's too big, I'll try to sometimes you got to use force. But other times so what do you like? What helps you calm down? I can go find you some little, some mushrooms if that's what you want. I can't offer any of my friends to help you because I don't want them eaten, but I can find other friends. I know the circle of life is important and all that. So he'll respectfully see what they need because sometimes they just want to talk too, So yeah, he always resorts to communication with Beast first, and if other things are necessary, then that's what he'll do.
Fantastic. This one I think is for you, Ryan. How would you catch up to a runaway carriage filled with explosives?
Well, I think what Zava would do is pray to his god, the scary Reaper who gives him his powers, and then just give it his all. He doesn't have any special magics. He would just do whatever he can. If it's to save the day, Zava will just put all the hustle in, work his hardest, and just try to catch up to it, I guess. Because I don't think I have any mobility stuff.
Dane's like, okay, give him mobility challenges.
Ability, do my best.
Yeah, the little guy.
I wrote, for your answer, I wrote haul ass.
Yeah, that is.
All right. V, Dillin, you are surrounded by mind-controlled workers. What is your plan to deal with them?
Kill their boss, obviously. Where's the mind control coming from? Probably some kind of stupid, headstrong, ugly boss. And I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. I hate him. I hate that he did this. I hate that they're mind controlled and that they won't talk to me in a normal voice and that they keep using the same catchphrase over and over again, and it's just really getting under my skin, man.
Amazing.
He must die, actually.
We've got a socialist barbarian, and I'm here for it.
The best kind.
And last but not least, for you, Marcus. It was Marcus, right? Marcus Biscuit?
It was Marcus Biscuit.
Perfect. It's going to be difficult for me to say, I think.
Otherwise known as Chopper.
Chopper.
Is kind of what he's trying to come into.
He's trying to make Chopper a thing.
Nickname already.
He's trying to make Chopper happen.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, great. The question I have for you is, a large group of people are in immediate danger. What does he do?
Well, I can actually turn my Shard of Creation into a lot of different things, and I think a big old red flag that just is very sparkly and catches the sun, it's not what he wants to do because he wants to do the heroic thing, but sometimes things there's a better way of getting them done, and the heroic thing is also hard to think of. So big old sparkly flag, and he's just like, guys, be careful. Oh no, get out of the way. And he's going to be waving just a gigantic flag while cursing himself inside, because that's not what Chopper would do.
Yeah.
That's what Marcus would do. It's not what Chopper.
There's two wolves inside of you, and one is
Inside
Chopper.
One is a lavender kobold, and one is Chopper.
Okay, great. I think that, for me, is all the questions and all the information I need to run you through a Buck Wild Tales of the Valiant campaign. Is there anything you guys have that you want to talk about or think of or want to throw out there?
I guess one thing we need to know is, are we an established party? I think if people want to be, I would still like to be maybe the newest member.
Yeah.
Or arrive on the
we're
day.
all friends.
Yeah. I think being an established party is smart just because we have a limited number of episodes. I think that's a fun, but we don't have to have been together very long.
That's why I was going to go. I think established, I think we've worked together before, not necessarily we're an adventuring party.
Right.
Yeah, but so
there's only so many adventures in the area.
We don't get our mail at the same place.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not literally a farm together yet.
Yeah, but
we file our taxes separately. Still. We're not a business entity.
Yeah, I like the idea that there's a job board and that you might not have all worked together all the time, but you have all individually partied with a combination or whatever
Yes.
because you guys keep taking the same jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just keep on reaching for the same quest at the same time, look at each other and say, I guess we'll do
The
this
only
again.
5 adventurers in the town.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
Would you guys be okay if it was Marcus's first?
Yeah.
Joining
100%.
you guys as
Yeah.
4.
Of course.
Okay.
I think we are ready to go on an adventure together.
Hell yeah.
All right.
The adventure will open on the climax of the Dudon Festival, right before the big reveal of the incredible wizard, Vargas Dembora, is about to reveal his finale. And the 5 of you are on high alert, ready to take on anything that may happen. And the Dudon Festival must be protected. We will see you all in episode 1 of Tales of the Valiant. And we are looking forward to going on an adventure together.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh.